We're good. I hope everybody can see me. All right, I'll just get started. And if it's working, awesome. If it's not working, then we'll figure it out next time. Okay, so I'm super, super, super excited. You guys, I think I always talk about what I do, and especially if you're friends with me on Facebook, but one of the things that I think that really draws me to what I do is the people I get to associate with. And I seriously get to be around some of the best people. And I just thought it would be really fun to kind of share with everybody a little bit about, the people I get to work with and why they do what we do. I think that there's a lot of, different feedback from other people, maybe that have negative experiences or positive experiences, but these are the reasons that keep me here. And today, the person that I'm so, so, so excited to bring on is somebody that I see you guys admire so much and respect. I literally call her mom because she is just that meaningful to me. She is somebody that I respect in her faith, in business. She's so successful. She created a 6-figure business the first year she was here. She's a hard worker. I literally, from her character, I call her to literally ask her to pray for me. Like, that's how much I admire and respect her. So I'm super grateful. I consider her a mentor, a friend, family, everything you could think of. And I just want you guys to take a few minutes to hear from her. And I'm going to ask her some questions. So I'm going to put us in gallery view so you can see us both. And I have Miss Gina Conti. So if you want to say hi, Gina.
Hi, Claudia. Unusual. We got a little love fest here.
I know.
Gosh. I love being here with you, Claudia. I'm honored to be your first guest on your live stream on your Facebook.
I'm so excited. And I'm so excited too, just because of who you are, really. And I know I say this to you all the time, but I genuinely admire and respect you. So I'm really excited to share. So what today is about, if it's not clear, is I just want to get to the bottom of these successful, and maybe we're going to have different types of people just explaining why they do what they do here. And I just think it's really important for you guys to hear different perspectives of where people are coming from, their story. And honestly, I think about it as something, even if it's just for me, it gets me excited, keeps me going. So if no one else watches this and it's just for me, then that's fine. But it's just something valuable for me to share, and I thought it would add value to others. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it, but I want you guys to introduce Gina. And Gina, if you could just kind of share a little bit about your background, maybe like tell your 5-minute story, if you would, of where you come from, your background, how you were raised, all that stuff. Go ahead.
Be happy to. But before I do, I just really want to say this, Claudia. I mean this wholeheartedly. I have never met a more positive person ever in my life than you. You do not typify a typical millennial. I know sometimes you don't even like hearing that you're a millennial, but you are. But you are seriously so successful. You represent everything this company is. More millennial Americans need to be like you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Your faith in God, your positivity in business, your encouragement to others, how you speak into it. You've handled this COVID with grace and perseverance, and I just want to thank you. And here you are doing something totally different. So I have a lot of respect. It goes both ways. Okay, but I will answer your question.
Okay, go ahead. Now you, please.
So long story short, so I was raised in Southern California, a great family, a big Italian family. I'm the youngest of 4. My parents loved each other very much. My dad died at an early age of 62. But what my parents taught me was hard work. There was no entitlement. I was surrounded by a lot of positivity, a lot of God, and I was surrounded by people that were entrepreneurial and business owners and self-employment. There were caterers, life insurance agents, developers, demolitioners, event planners. I mean, I just was around realtors. My uncle was a self-made millionaire through real estate, and he built churches for Mother Teresa and opened up orphanages and did a lot of philanthropy work. So I was around that. So I feel I was just blessed in that way. Not many people come from that background. Fast forward, in 2014, I went to Connecticut. I'm a California girl, so I was in the snow and trying to deal with that. But I was working for a company, a big life insurance company out there, and I was in training. And I was like a fish out of water, literally. I was in training. It was a 5-6 week training, and had to do a lot of cold calls, and I just didn't really, it really wasn't for me. But I thought, okay, maybe I can make some good money. They promised me I could make good money, right? But the thing that came out of it in all my training is I sat down to a man that quickly became my best friend, and then we quickly fell in love. and that is my husband today, Larry Conti. So luckily for me, Larry was willing to pick up and leave Connecticut. Unfortunately, both his parents passed away 5 weeks apart from each other. I never got to meet them. So we came out to California to start our lives together, and we quickly got married. And he worked for this insurance company, and right here in the Valley, here in California. But we realized it wasn't very profitable. We realized we could only offer a couple products. We were captive to this one company. We did some good, but you'd have to make 100 calls to maybe make 3 appointments and maybe help 1 or 2 families. And it just wasn't going to be the lifestyle that Larry and I wanted. So he broke out of that business and went into the health insurance business. Provided an amazing life for us, amazing. I got pregnant 5 months after our wedding, and I had the blessing, because Larry was making good money in the health insurance business, of staying home with all 4 of our children. We had 4 kids in 4.5 years, a boy and 3 girls. We moved here to Westlake Village. Larry's business just grew. He was there for us, accessible, on-hands father. I stayed home with the kids, very involved in the community, sports, dance, nonprofits, church, awesome. Private school, public school, all of it. Then 2010 hit. In 2010, Claudia, the health insurance laws changed. This is not a political statement, it's just a fact. They changed. So we watched businesses close down, they couldn't afford the insurance costs. We watched families suffer, they couldn't afford the insurance costs. Some people left the state. Long story short, it affected our income. But Larry, being the husband he is and the provider he is, just worked harder. But we looked at each other and he was working harder for less. And so we dealt with that for some time. And then 2016, and I'll remember as clear as day, Larry and I were invited to this office that I'm sitting in now at Gura Hills from 2 executives that are married. And one of them, Frank Lagatudas, Larry's friend through the health insurance business. And so Larry's talking to Frank, like, Frank, what am I going to do? This is my retirement. And now all of a sudden he goes, I'm watching the whole health insurance world fall apart. And Frank says to him, Frank was a big wig over at the Principal Group with health insurance. He goes, you know, Larry, I left Principal to work with my wife, Dana. Come check it out. Wow. Larry didn't even ask questions. He trusted Frank. He's like, okay. He goes, this could be a fit for you, Larry. It could be a fit. So we walk in this office. And within 20 minutes of me meeting Dana and Frank, I was all in. They thought they were getting Larry. They got the wife. Almost 51-year-old wife.
Better.
As a stay-at-home mom, yeah, that knew nothing about finances. I have an old UCLA degree from 1989, so I just aged myself. What job was I going to get? Larry and I had prayed about it. Like, I was trying to figure out where I was going to work. I wanted to go back to work. Claudia, I wanted to be more than just a mom and a wife. I love it. It's what God called me to be, but I knew someday my kids wouldn't need me anymore. Thank the Lord, right? Launching them in the way they should go. And I helped Larry in his business, but it wasn't really growing our business just because of the industry. It wasn't as lucrative and profitable. Right. So here we are, fast forward 3.5 years later. Larry and I are working as a team. We still have our health insurance business, but this business, Claudia, and now we have our son Dominic working with us. This is what America's about. This is why I purposely sat here with this flag behind me. What stay-at-home mom in her first year can make over $100,000 and work part-time? I didn't even work full-time. Still had time to travel the world and go all do these things with my kids. Anyway, so that's my story.
I seriously love that. And I want to definitely get into kind of where you are now, but I want to go back just a little bit because, and I only know the stories that I've heard, but it seems that growing, especially even at in your first career and being in life insurance or being in the insurance business, you have a lot of drive. And for those of you that don't know, Gina came into this business in her first year. She made 6 figures. She is probably one of the most focused, most hardworking people I know. And that's why I respect her so much of how much she puts her heart into everything that she does. So I kind of want to talk about where that came from. Obviously, I know now maybe it's your family that drives you, but what at the beginning of I know you said your parents taught you hard work, but what kept you going every single time to be successful in the beginning as opposed to now? What drives you is different.
It's a great question, Claudia. You know, what drove me when I first came into this business, I'll be real, it was to make money. And I didn't want to be an administrative assistant. I didn't want, and not that that's not a good job of integrity, but I didn't want to be under someone else's thumb. I didn't want to be told when I could come and go. I wanted my hours my own. My husband's used to having me home. I love being with my family. But what drove me is we had 3 in college at the same time, of our 4, because our kids are all a year apart. So I came in this business to make money. I'd be lying to you if I said I came to help families. I run 3 ministries at my church. I help my brother's ministry at his church. I deal with nonprofits all the time. I already do that. And Larry goes, Gina, finally, all these talents you have of helping other people, you're finally getting paid for it. So what drove me is I wanted to contribute to the college education of our children. And they have some skin in the game. They have jobs, and they took some loans, and we had to do our thing. And that's what drove me. I'll tell you, Claudia, whether it's this business or something else, I think that's what's missing in America is people don't know why they get out of bed in the morning. My why has changed now. My why has definitely changed now. We don't worry about how to pay for college. We got all that taken care of. We paid for our daughter's wedding, who just got married 2 months ago. I don't worry about those things. My why is about everybody else and building everybody else up, especially during COVID with people that don't know how, and we'll talk more about that. And whys will change. And I just want to encourage Claudia, and you and I have had this conversation, how whys change. Why do I get out of bed every morning? I think people have lost that. And so they don't even know why they're living anymore. They just get up and they do their routine, and then they go to bed, and then they Groundhog Day the next day. So.
And, you know, I love that you comment on that, because one of the things too, as the more I grow and the more successful, when you get, there's an easier, it's almost easier to have a why. And I say this with like a sincere heart. It's almost easier when you have something that is very tangible, like your kids going to college, or for me, it's like my parents, like making sure that they're taken care of. But when you get to a place where you know that that's going to happen, it forces you to dream bigger, and not, it's almost like you can't make it about yourself anymore, because you know that you can accomplish that. Like that's already done deal. And it's like to be able to have the muscle to stretch that past that comfort level. You know what I mean? Like I think about all the, you know, people in our company that make good money, how easy it would be to just stop, you know, because you can, like you know, you look at Nalagatuda, who makes good money, or Jamie Villalobos, these people that make good money. Why keep going if your needs are met? And that's when it's like these leaders become born, and I use you as an example of somebody that is just like, it's not even about your family anymore. It's about the other families and getting them to that place too. And having that, I always say our new mission statement for the team is like, you know, we're helping people get into better financial situations and freeing them from uncertainty so that they have permission to dream and change the world.
Absolutely.
You know? So I adore, and again, I can't, guys, if you're watching this, I hope you see how much I love her so much. But all right, so let's kind of like get like kind of close to the mindset shift, and maybe talk a little bit about a few months, right? Before you met Dana and Frank, what was your life looking like, and why were you open to hearing about something, or what were you looking for, if that makes sense? Like what did those few months right before you got started look like?
Such a good question. It looked, for Larry and I, we were losing a little hope. And you mentioned that earlier. Because what platform? We couldn't find a platform that fit into our world. Like, gosh, we're dreamers, you know, we're dreamers. And we just don't feel like we can just like push through. Like there's only so many hours in the day that Larry could work, right? So in those few months prior, we were doing a lot of research. I was interviewing with other companies. I'm not even going to name them, because then it'll sound like I'm being negative, and I'm absolutely not. It's just a different platform. Like, okay, if I work with that company, I got to go to Texas and train for 8 weeks, and I'm only going to make $40,000. Okay, if I shadow that man in his brick and mortar and his good agency, he's going to start me at 25,000, and I have a potential to maybe make 60. And then my take home is going to be this. And I'm like, wait a minute. And that's what it looked like. And in the meantime, we're like, okay, this one's going to college. This one's still, we pay a lot for for lacrosse and tennis. This one we have. And Larry's like, okay, we can only squeeze so much out of this, right? You know, there's only so many new clients we can get. And there was no competition in our industry with health insurance. And so that's what it looked like. And quite frankly, Claudia, we've been married 25 years. We started to like, you know, push and pull each other. It was like, we're not used to this, right? What's going on? Because that's what finances can do. That's what finances can do. And we see it with what's going on right now with COVID and people being locked in. And that's a whole nother topic, which we'll bring up as we speak. Back then, that wasn't happening.
Right.
Saw that we were losing our dreams. We were talking about traveling to Italy, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't travel to Italy. We were talking about going to Ireland. Maybe we shouldn't go to Ireland. You know, maybe I can't give our daughters the weddings they thought, if this is the way life's going to look like, until Frank invited Larry to this office.
Wow. And then that leads to my next question. So what was it that Dana said? You kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but if you can go into what your mind was thinking when you realized this is our answer, this is what I want to do.
Wow. So my experience with corporate America, by the way, with women is not good. Okay. I don't know. I haven't worked in corporate America for eons. I mean, it's been a long time, but it's not been good. Women always pushed each other down and competed, you know, and men passed us up. It's just the way it was. So as we walked through the doors of this office and I saw Transamerica Financial Advisors, I smiled because I remember my dad talking about Transamerica Financial Advisors. They've been around for a long time. I thought, impressive, powerhouse behind this. Not quite sure. I had somebody talk to me like a year ago about Transamerica. I didn't understand it because I was in mom mode, you know. I walked through and I look at Larry and I go, I know the name of this company. I've heard of this. He goes, you did? I said, yeah, I'm open. I'm just open. That's all anybody has to be, is open. I wish more people would do that right now with COVID. Be open.
Right.
Gosh. So I walk in the door and there's Dana with a big smile on her face. We know Dana. A lot of people watching this know Dana. She's 10 years, actually 11 years younger than me, or maybe 12 years younger than me. And she's beautiful and big smile. And I'll tell you, Claudia, there wasn't a sniff of attitude, competition, nothing. To this day, I don't have a sniff of that for the women I work with in this office. So I immediately sat down. We gave each other a hug as if we knew each other. You know, being that we're married to two Italian men, and they knew each other, they were hugging. But the conversation was zeroed in with me and Dana. And what's funny is it was supposed to be with Larry and Frank and Dana, and I was supposed to be the fly in the wall. So Dana said this to me. She asked me questions. We're a company that asks lots of questions, right? We don't just talk at people. We ask questions. We want to know their goals and dreams.
Right.
She said, Gina, she said, tell me about yourself. And I did. And she said, and I told her that, you know, my background. And she goes, wow, you realize you can bring all those talents here. She goes, do you ever picture yourself like speaking into other people's lives? You ever picture yourself like, you can come here and produce? She goes, how much do you want to make? And Claudia, I could barely say it. I go, 100,000 my first year. And I was like, she goes, got it, done. I can teach you how to do it. And I kind of sat up a little straighter. I'm like,
right.
Wow, woman almost 51 years old can come in and do that. Oh, sure. More than anybody else I know my age. I said, okay. She goes, do you think you could lead a team? Like if I bring people to you and you recruit, and would you like that? I said, yeah. She goes, because that's a lot of fun. She goes, that's when it doesn't become about you. She goes, and you make overrides and bonuses. It's exciting. She started asking me more about my goals and dreams, and then I started opening up. And that's when I knew. That's when I knew. And I looked at Larry and I said, this is what I want to do, Larry. I want to do it right now. And he's like, what? I go, I want to do it right now. I want them to do the background check on me right now. And that's how it went.
I love it. That's so amazing. And I think too, I can't get over the fact, like, guys, you're so full of integrity. And it's just like, when I hear your story and I hear how you started, and it was very similar to me, like I was actually similar to you, like focused more on money, but then I see, like, you know, the heart of what we do. And guys, Gina exemplifies that. Like she is so passionate about, and I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gina, it was because I feel like somebody showed her that she could. And I think when you're a person of integrity, when you realize that, like, you know, like, especially being a person of faith, I'm no better than anybody else. Like, out of humility, I'm no better than anybody else. But to be able to have somebody give you enough hope to get a pathway to do something bigger, it's like you feel like, how could you not share it with everybody? How could you not show people that there is an answer like that too? So again, I can't.
And that's the leadership here, Claudia.
Right.
From Dana to Jamie to Greg Kapp to Jeff Levitan to Cindy and Rich Thawley. I mean, that's the leadership. I've never met a company that girds you up and pushes you up and encourages you, and then and knows how to speak into your life. And, you know, as we say, this is an amazing mentorship business with an amazing compensation plan, right?
Right.
I've never learned how to dream so big before.
Right. And again, this is going back to the point, guys, of all, especially if you're watching and maybe you don't know necessarily what we do in the fullness. This isn't about, like, you know, like, we're trying to get anybody to do anything they don't want to do. I just want you guys to hear somebody that I respect, that is successful here, that that literally inspires me every day to want more people to know about what we do because of people like her that are winning. So I can't get over how grateful I am. I have a few more questions, and then I'll let you go, because I know that Miss Gina Conti is very busy, you guys.
Yes.
Listening to this, like, she is one of the most busiest people I know. But I want to respect her time. So at the beginning, when you got started, and I want more of a mindset, if you could answer this in more of a mindset way, did you struggle? Because I know for you, and a lot of people might look, and maybe especially if you are newer, let's say if you are somebody that does work with us and you are newer watching this is for anybody, right? If you're looking, not everybody makes six figures their first year. So what were the hurdles that you had to overcome mindset wise? And maybe even like that you could say that's keeping you from seven figures, or what are those struggles? If you can talk about mindset for a second.
Oh gosh, this is such a powerful question. So Claudia, as you know, and for people that don't know, there are two sides of our business. There's the client side that we help them get in better financial shape. We help them with their debt and their wealth preservation and growth and their emergency funds and all these great things. And I was very good at that. And then there's our recruiting side, just like every other company in America does, whether you're a sole proprietor and you need a person to work for you, or you're Google or Amazon and you hire. So we have that recruiting side.
Right.
I will tell you single-handedly, I'm so excited, like you are, to teach people what we do, because we need more boots on the ground, is when I bring an associate in and they're not coachable, and they've given up. So they come into this company, they have these big dreams, and yet they're not willing to do what it takes to get there. We have a really simple process here, right, Claudia?
Right.
We hold their hand through the whole thing. It doesn't even cost a lot for us to do that. And when I see people with so much potential and they full on just give up, and yet they tell me that they want to own 3 properties out of state, and they want to send their kids to college, and they want their $50,000 debt to go away, and they're on a $2,500 a month income from their 9 to 5 job, and I tell them something simple because I'm succeeding at it, and they stop. That is my most frustrating. That has been the roadblock since I started for 3.5 years, because I brought people in and they weren't willing to do what it takes. And I know they're not, you know, they're like, well, I'm not you, Gina. I'm like, no. This is not Gina Conti. I'm nothing special. This company is special. This company gave us all the tools. I'm not the same Gina Conti now as I was when I started in 2017. Absolutely not. So the mindset, it's here. And Claudia, people, the leadership here teaches us how to be positive. I don't need to go spend thousands of dollars to go listen to special speakers when I have it here. So if my mindset changes, they teach me how to dive into my whys, right? Why I get up in the morning, right? So now why I get up in the morning is to train people to build strong, enduring businesses where their lives improve, so they can go out there and help other lives, right? We are perpetuating, we are teaching people how to fish, you know? We're putting more fish on their table, we're putting more food on their table, we're changing lives. And when they completely give up,
Right.
It makes me sad. And this business is not for everybody, right, Claudia?
Right.
It's not for everybody. But when we have a platform that we know works
Yeah.
and it's free to give them, it's just a gift, and
Yeah.
they have these big goals and dreams and they don't take it, that's my frustration. That's my roadblock. And so
That's
I think that's really where it comes from. And reaching those 7 figures, I'll also tell you why I know I'm going to reach it. The mistake I
I
made at
believe
the
it.
beginning is I spent too much time and energy on people that didn't want it bad enough. I wanted it more for
Mm,
them because I saw how
mm,
poor they were, and I saw 10
mm.
people living in the same house, and I saw them in debt, and I would pour my heart and soul. And we don't get paid for recruiting, so here I'm
Right.
pouring my heart and soul into them and not making any money. Now I've been wiser. That's why I know we're
Interesting.
going to reach 7.
I feel like that's a similar struggle I have, if I'm real, like when it comes to, knowing what I have and being so convicted and then really wanting and almost I feel like, if we're being frank and honest, it comes from like a controlling place, at least for me. It's like, I want you to win. And so I'm forcing you. But when you said exactly when people don't want it, and here's the thing too, especially if you're watching this and you're like, oh, that's not for me, that's fine. And that's what, it's actually more of our issue, if that makes sense, for us to let
Exactly.
go. But it's because we care so much. I mean, Dana would always make me, because especially with my first times in the business, I would invest in people, and then I just give up on them because I'm like, they don't want it. Like, I was more extreme on the opposite end, and now I've become more extreme on the other end. It's like, because when you really let yourself care for somebody, it's so hard to not want to do everything you can to
Right.
help them succeed. And then it's like, maybe you come across as pushy or whatever. And it's like, in our mind, at least I know 100%, I know, Gina, I know your heart, and I know for sure my heart. It's like, it's not even about the money for us. It's more about the money for them. It's more about having them be successful. And that's that's such a challenge. And it's almost encouraging to hear that you struggle with that too, because it's something I struggle with, and letting go of people and being like, okay, this isn't for everybody. If you don't want it, I know where I'm going. I'm still going to get there without you.
Exactly.
I love people too much to just be like, oh no, let me just, forget about them. So it's having that balance. And it's honestly encouraging in a way to hear that you struggle with the same thing. So what do you, I have just a couple more questions. What do you love about this opportunity? And more of obviously, not necessarily the platform stuff and what we do for families. If you guys want to know more about that, we can talk about that another time. I want to know, as far as the opportunity and what it can do for your family, what do you love about it?
First of all, what I love about what this company stands for, it's the cornerstones, I call it, is faith, family, finance, and fitness. Larry always goes, we're going to add that last F, which is fun. So we have fun doing it, right? Within our struggles, though, Claudia, we have fun, right? How much fun this is.
Too much fun sometimes,
So
in a good way.
I love, because of those cornerstones of this company, like I have seen in nothing else, I have never seen ever in anything else, that this can be, we have those values as a company. We all respect each other. We're a company of integrity.
Right.
We can make this a family business. We can work together as a team. You have your motto with your team. My team is iron sharpens iron. It comes from Proverbs saying, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. We sharpen each other. When my son goes to a wedding and I've got 3 of his team members, we're working together. And when my husband Larry is, in fact, when I hang up, I have an appointment for him because I have that. We can help each other out,
Right.
And we raise each other up. And literally before my eyes, you see it happen. It is tangible. We may not have tangible products because we don't ship products. We don't have a tangible product. But what's tangible is the joy and hope we see in couples or single mom and dads or grandparents taking care of their grandchildren. I'll tell you, Claudia, right before I jumped on this call, and I jumped on 2 minutes. 2 minutes, I was on with one of my associates. She's amazing. She's expecting her 3rd child. She works a dead-end job. She has this amazing degree she's done nothing with. She's in her 40s. Her husband works hard and is barely home. And she said, Gina, thank you. Thank you for showing me and educating me not only on these solutions for my life and my family, but thank you for teaching me. And we both got so emotional, and I jumped on that right before this. That's what I love about this, Claudia, because it's not about the money. The money is a byproduct. And you know what money does do because it's a byproduct? For the first time in mine and Larry's life, the first time we've been able to write bigger checks to organizations. Look that we just were able to donate to your Underground Railroad for sex trafficking.
Yep.
You know, in the past, we'd be like, oh, how much should we give? Maybe should we? That was a nice, we could give a big chunk. We give it to these nonprofits with commas, like comma checks with extra zeros, and feel good about it. That's what we love about it. And that's tangible for me.
Right.
And I lay my head down at night and I feel really good about what God's calling and my purpose is in this life.
Right. And I mean, do you guys see why I love her so much? Like, this is what I'm talking about.
It's not me, it's the company, but you're so cute, Claudia. I love you.
No, but it really is. It's just this heart to serve and this heart to here's the thing. And especially if you're not necessarily religious and this doesn't and Gina and I both, we're believers, but it's like we work with so many people that aren't, and it's not necessarily just about, but it's the value of wanting to be better. It's the value of somebody with integrity. And I think when I think of my values and what's the most important to me, it's people with hearts like Gina that genuinely look at somebody and want to do everything that they can to add value to them. And that's why she's successful. And I also want to comment too, it's it's funny, you hear a lot of, and this isn't to rag on anybody, that say it isn't about the money. And usually those people that say it isn't about the money don't make six figures, right? The ones that are like, oh, it isn't about the money. And I'm not saying be noble and you don't have to make six figures and that's not you, and that's fine. But to hear that coming from someone who is successful, and here's the thing, she's more successful because of who she is as a person, because when she sits in front of people, they feel her heart. They feel like that she cares them. And that's why I love being in business with her. So I could keep going on about that, but I have two more questions and then we're going to wrap it up. And we'll see how long's average for future ones. And then guys, comment too, if there's more questions you want me to ask or things that, you'd like to know specifically, I'll try to weave them into questions. But, this is, again, me wanting you to get to know some of the people I work with, okay, and why we do what we do. So what's one thing that you wish more people knew about what we do? And again, more towards whether it's what we associate, something more higher law, if you would, because I feel like a lot of people miss that ball. So what's one thing that you wish more people knew?
I wish more people knew that we're the real deal, that we're the real deal, that we're full of integrity, and that we have barely even touched the surface of the good things we want to do. We're the Amazon of the financial services. People will say, well, Gina, why don't you, there's some wirehouse names, and I won't name them. We all know what wirehouse names look like. Those are the affluent and the wealthy get that help because they have the money, they can afford it. We help that 98%, that crusade that doesn't get the help. But guess what else we help? Claudia knows this. We help the 2%. We help the 2% that has never been taught some of these things. It's like, wait, I pay all these fees with my guy, and he's never taught me this. And whether the market's doing well or not, I still pay my fee. Well, Gina, why is no one teaching me this stuff? Right. I have some really high profile clients, big time out here. And then I've got my single mom that literally has $40 every month. We're the real deal. Our crusade is real. And I'll tell you, Claudia, I'd made a joke about this on a side note personally. I said, if this business is good enough for our family, my husband would never, ever put the livelihood and welfare of our family with a company that wasn't the utmost of integrity and offered the right products. He's a researcher. I'm not. Mm-hmm. Thank God my husband researches. He's much wiser than I am with that. And so if I could just say our crusade is real. We really want to help people fish and put more fish on their table and have peace of mind. And I hope I answered that in the best way I could.
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like you did. And again, guys, it's It's just every time she talks, every time Gina talks, you hear her heart. And I don't know about you. I know when she talks, she's saying it from here. And I have so much respect for her because of that. And it's like, I hope that she's conveying that over this screen, because I feel it. And I know that it's not, because here's the thing, you guys, like at the end of the day, neither one of us, we don't, and I'll just give you this just so you can understand even more where she's coming from. We don't necessarily work like on top or under each other, actually like completely two separate agencies, if you would. Like, so there's no benefit that she has into not being authentic. There's no benefit for me, and there's no benefit I have to not authentic with her. Like literally I don't gain anything from that. And I just hearing her heart and hearing, I want you guys to hear this, because I feel like it's so important to know that there are people like this. And this is why she wins, is because of who she is as a person and her heart for people. And I'm loving every single second of it. So my last question, and this one I want you to go into as detail as possible. What are your current goals, and why is WFG Financial Group the answer? And why is this platform going to be the reason you get there?
So my current goals. Remember I said wise change, right?
Right.
So it went from putting our kids through college, check. It went to starting to save more for retirement, check. We're still working on that, more as much as we want. Paying for our daughter's wedding in cash, check. Traveling the world with our children, check. My goal now is really deep. So it's one of them. But what gets me out of bed in the morning, number one, is to build, and I mean this, is to be able to duplicate myself and have people do what I do so we can help more families. I'm really focused on duplicating myself. I know Larry is too, and Dominic, my husband and my son, as you know. Also, my father, he used to call me MDRT Gina, Million Dollar Round Table Gina. And when I started working for that insurance company in Connecticut, and I didn't understand what it meant. I really didn't. And he'd write it, and he'd send me notes, and he'd go, how's my MDRT, Gina? And I didn't know, because that company didn't teach me to dream big. I didn't really understand what that meant. So I met Larry, we got married, and only 2 short years after we got married, I was pregnant with our second child, our first child, Dominic, now 24, was 9 months old at the time. My dad passed away from a heart attack. So he never got to see me thrive in business. But before he passed away, he was in love with my husband. He'd say, you know, Gina, you and Larry are going to do something big, really big, bigger than anything I've ever seen in this family, and you're going to build it. And I didn't understand what he meant, build. And quite frankly, Claudia, I don't even know if he knew what that meant.
Right.
My dad didn't have that platform back then, but he knew it in his heart. And so here I am, married 25 years later, and my dad had passed away 24 years ago.
Right.
My goal is to build something big, to have more boots on the ground, to have hundreds, maybe even thousands of agents, licensed agents, doing more of what we do, whether they make $500 a month to help their family, or they make $500,000 a month to help their family, right, Claudia?
Right.
Whatever that person's dream is, to change their lives. And I want to look, you know, right now we're going to have an online convention right next weekend. Right. But when our conventions are back in person, and they're in Vegas because it's the only venue that can hold 50,000 people. I want to see a section of the Contis, of the Iron Sharpens Iron, not for me, not for my glory, but to remind me of what my dad said, because $1 Million Round Table means a lot more people are making millions of dollars, and more people their lives are being changed. And I want to speak on that stage. Right. I'll tell you why I want to speak on that stage, because my mom is still alive. My mom is 83. She's a rock star, and she remarried 18 years ago to an amazing man, and they have an amazing marriage. And I want to live that dream, and I'll tell you why, because we have one life to live, and we want to live it well, Claudia. And I don't think enough people know how to live it well. And we have
Right.
this platform to show people how to live it well. And there is
Right.
nothing like it out there. Is
Yep.
anything too good to be true? No. If it's too good to be true, then something's wrong, right?
Right.
This takes work. And when you work at it and have fun while you're doing it and have that financial independence and that freedom of time,
Right.
this work is worth it all day long.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what drives me and gets me out of bed is I want to build it big like my dad said. My sweet husband puts pictures of my dad all over. I have one here in my office. I have one at my home office. And he puts a little quote that says, "What a team, what a team." And if I don't have a team, I'm not helping enough people.
Right.
So that gets me out of bed.
I love that so much. And I just want to make a comment again, because it's like the more, it's funny because we always talk about this, especially in our industry. And again, if you don't know what we do, you know, we have information on that. We can talk about it. But especially in our industry, we find out that when people typically make more money, they spend more money. But I feel like here, with the mindset that this company gives you, when people make more money here, it almost makes them dream bigger, because they realize it's like, wow, what more can I do? And I love that you went through the checklist of all the things that you've already accomplished. And so it's like you either, because if like, think about it, for other people, it would be maybe then they're done. What else is there? What else do I need to do? I've already accomplished all these things. I've done taking care of me. But what's so amazing about the mentorship and the type of people that you're around here, it pushes you to say, wait a second. I'm not selfish. Like, wait a second, especially when you're the right person, somebody like Gina Conti. It's like, what more can I accomplish? Who else can I bring up to this round table with me? Who else can I help get to where I'm at? Because if you guys don't know, and if you haven't figured out yet, she makes enough to take care of her family by herself. And yet here she is pouring into, and I was hearing her last night, just to touch on and edify what she does. I was hearing her last night take time to work with an agent that just wrote some business and really take some time to really educate. And she doesn't get paid to hourly sit with somebody and pour into them and teach them how to run certain things for the products or anything like that. She doesn't get paid to do that. But when she talks about duplicating and that being her passion, I see it. I see how much she pours into people. I see her close her door, talking with other people she's working with, not clients, because it's not about that. It's about building the next layer. And I can't emphasize how much I admire and respect you so, so much. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope everybody watching again, if this is just for me, then it's fine.
But
I'm
you
okay.
and I had fun. We had
Exactly.
fun
If it's
regardless.
just for me, that's completely fine, because I definitely got so much value. I've heard Gina's story a few times, but I feel like this is the first time I've heard it in the depth that she shared it. So I thank you, Gina, so much for sharing it that way. It moved me, and I'm super excited, and I can't wait to do more of these. I can't wait for you guys. I have so many great people I work with. Gina's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many amazing people. So I hope you guys like this. And like I said, we'll do another one next week. I will have different people on different experiences. And like I said, this is just to get to know people, why we do what we do. So if you have questions, let me know. And I can't wait to see y'all again. All right, let's see. Talk to you guys soon. Hold on, let me